Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We're from one lady in the news to another lady in the news who I don't think necessarily wanted
to be in the news.
Well, maybe she, not in this way, though. I am fascinated by this whole thing, and I'm fascinated by the response. Now, you pronounced it a different way than I did.
I don't know how to pronounce it, that's for sure.
Dolezal, I don't know. We'll go with that. But she was the president of the NAACP chapter in Spokane, Washington, and she'd been in that position for a long time. And recently, like within the last 2 weeks, her parents, out of nowhere, I guess she hadn't had contact with them in a long time, came out and said, we don't know why our daughter is telling everybody that she's an African American. She's white. We're both white, and she's been white her whole life. We don't. And here's a picture of her when she was 12. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, and she's Swedish. She's got a little Native American ancestry.
Well, I believe she went to, I can't remember the name of the college.
She went to Howard. She went to Howard,
and she sued them for discrimination
against her for white. And so so the first thing, my first impression of this about what was bizarre was, how the heck did she go this long, right? My first reaction to this was, how did she not get called out by her friends or family? That's not the thing.
She was a little bit alienated from her family.
I know that, except that wouldn't you think that at some point they would have come across her, because she was trying to make a name, not necessarily for herself, but she was definitely trying to make more of a name for the chapter in Washington. She was trying to up their profile by, I think she faked a couple of harassment letters or something, and she was becoming more and more vocal about police brutality and black pay issues and education gap and all the things that African American leaders all over the country are talking about. She's trying to bring that into Washington more with more fanfare.
Yeah,
don't you think that like a friend of hers from Howard, for crying out loud, this didn't go back that far, you know?
Well, but the bottom line is she essentially moved to this area to start, basically, from what I understand, she basically started a new life. Well, and this just kind of grew. At Howard, she was blonde hair, blue eyed. Apparently, she is gray eyed now, because I'm looking at a picture of her. She's obviously done makeup and her hair different to be more black, so to speak. But the bottom line is I believe that she truly does at this point identify herself as black. I believe that when the reporter said, "Well, but aren't you white? Are you black or white? What are you?" I believe her confusion that was on that. Did you see that? Yep. I believe that confusion is genuine. I believe that she really does think she's black. And I think that question caused her ego to fracture at that moment. That was that confusion. That's what you call it, fracturing ego.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. She's getting criticism from a lot of different corners that she's this liar, huckster, con artist, or whatever. I think Melissa Harris Perry on MSNBC asked her if she thought she was a con artist or something in an interview she gave a couple days ago. She's got a lot of criticism from African American folks, and I think that we sort of can understand why. There's this drumbeat of appropriation, and you basically. You donned this persona, and you can very easily go back to being a blonde-haired white lady if you feel like it's getting too tough. Although, for all intents and purposes, she was making it tougher for herself, or was embracing the more difficult aspects of basically the more difficult cultural responses within African American culture that we have. She was actively going out and campaigning against police brutality, that sort of thing. So she was doing the work, so to speak, and she'd been doing it for a while. So there's criticism for there, which I can kind of understand. But then there's been criticism from the right a little bit, at least laughing up their sleeves at this, calling, say, hey, look at how unserious the NAACP is, which I don't get. Well, let me ask you, do you have a problem with what she did?
Yeah, and
in what context?
Well, the problem is that regardless of how she identifies, she's still white. It doesn't matter if she identifies as black. The problem really for me comes down to whether or not she's mentally ill is not a question. All right. I haven't interviewed her. I'm not even sure she is what would be classified as mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is she knew she was black, and she purposely set out to change that, but she wasn't open about it. There's a lot of, the hashtag transracial popped up.
Right.
There's a world of difference between the two. Caitlyn Jenner is going to have to go out and do a lot, and he's open about it. She changed her appearance and was not open about it, and that's the issue.
Well,
I don't think she's a con.
There are plenty of transgender folks that aren't open about it. But this is my question, because I'm really curious about this idea, because there was a great op-ed by great op-ed in the Times by Eleanor Burkett, I think, if I can remember that. I just saw it, and then an article in the. I read both of them today. Now I can't remember. I want to give proper attribution. That sort of explored both sides of this identity thing, and so what I'm curious is. I think it's bizarre. I think it's bizarre personally that why would you do something like this? But I don't know that I care. And I don't know if it's because I don't care because of individual.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think a white person should be able to lead a chapter of the NAACP? That's a question that hasn't been asked at this point that I know of.
The NAACP says they don't have a racial component to their hiring.
Then
and they've had white members and white leaders in the NAACP since its founding.
So why did they fire her?
She quit. She quit. She resigned because she was becoming a distraction.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to wade into what I think is going on. Now, my brother Joe thinks that she's a con artist, and I'm completely wrong. Here's the thing: if you look at Michael Jackson. This is the same type of problem that Michael Jackson had. Michael Jackson always claimed he never changed his appearance either. He couldn't see it. He, honest to goodness, couldn't see what he was doing. The whiter he got, the more he would deny it. And I believe that's what happened here. She has a fractured ego. My friend Jason has a really good explanation of what went on. We're just going to read a part of it. She was hiding from herself that she did not want to be a part of anymore. A fractured ego has led her to her self-hatred, to an extent that she could not see herself as the white person she is. I would agree with that. You cannot go down this path without having a fractured ego that creates a self-loathing. Keep in mind.
But if she was fulfilled, doesn't matter. Isn't it everybody else having a problem with it? That's the issue.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree that the thing is it's very deceptive. It's deceptive.
It is deceptive, but I don't know.
And that's the one thing. I mean, how do you apologize for being deceptive?
Yeah.
How do you say, well, really, I wanted to be black? How do you say, to out there to say, well, hold on, my parents abandoned me, adopted black children, and went to South Africa and left me back here? I mean, that's really the issue. I think it all started with perceived abandonment.
Well, what I guess my point or my final take on it is that the deception part of it, because this isn't just a passive thing that she did. She affirmatively went out and did things to pump up her African American cred, so to speak.
Yes.
Filled out job applications, filled out different surveys.
There's one of the texters that said she was probably getting a lot of benefits from being black. Do you believe that's true? I mean, like, welfare. I'm assuming it's welfare or whatever.
I guess I would ask an African-American person if they think they get any benefits.
Well, I will tell you, Will Smith has said several times the best thing to be right now is a black man in Hollywood. So, I mean, obviously that's one person's opinion.
I would tell you that it's still the best thing to be in America is still a white guy.
Well, we're going to be, and there goes more of that, white guilt hatred kind of thing going on.
I don't know. I love being white, man. I'm not guilty about being white. I love it.
We're going to be back right after this break. We have to be back. We're going to be back talking more about the NAACP lady, and we're going to talk about a little bit about liberal fun haters. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Want to thank all of our sponsors. Well, I better do that again. Bertrosian Associates, Labinas Law Firm, Des Moines Interestrates.com, Des Moines Anesthesia, 515-574-6442. Make sure if you're having any kind of surgery, if you're having pain issues, to give them a call. That is who I would use because I have had surgery. Those are the people I used. Go to Facebook and Twitter and follow us. If you want to go give us a review at Yelp, and go to docandlefty.com for blogs that are supposed to be coming up this week. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back right after this break.